The whispers have turned into roars as the shadow of Monsanto looms over a dark history of alleged labor and human rights abuses. Across countless countries, they've been accused of leaving a trail of exploitation and broken promises in their wake. But the question on everyone's mind remains, how deep does this rabbit hole go? And where will the trail of secrets lead? You see, evil is a complex concept with infinite shades. It can range from trivial things like eating chocolate bars the wrong way to serious crimes like Adolf Hitler. Then again, how evil is evil? Is being Monsanto evil? Well, if you're a business, then that surely seems to qualify. Today, let's dive into Monsanto's reputation and why has it come to a point where we read evil synonymously to Monsanto. Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're about to talk about one of the most controversial businesses in the world. We're talking about Monsanto, the big bad wolf of the agricultural biotechnology industry. Sure, they might be leaders in seeds, insecticides, and herbicides, but what about their past? It's more than just checkered. It's downright scandalous. It's no surprise they're one of the most despised businesses on the planet. But hey, don't take our word for it. Let's dive into the dirty details and see what all the fuss is about. Buckle up, it's gonna be a bumpy ride. Let's start with PCBs. These chemicals were once hailed as a breakthrough in electrical engineering, but after 50 years of use, they were finally banned due to the catastrophic harm they caused to people and the environment. But here's the kicker. Monsanto knew about the lethal effects of PCBs all along, and yet they kept this information hidden from the public just to keep their profits rolling in. Talk about shady. But that's not even the worst of it. During the Vietnam War, Monsanto teamed up with their partner in crime, DOW Chemical, to manufacture Agent Orange, a toxic chemical containing dioxin to use in the conflict. The devastating effects of this chemical are still being felt today, with over 3 million people contaminated, 500,000 Vietnamese civilians dead, and 500,000 Vietnamese babies born with birth defects. And let's not forget about the thousands of US military veterans who are still suffering and dying from the effects of Agent Orange. But wait, there's more. Monsanto has been accused of lying about their illegal actions and the damage they've done to the environment. They've committed perjury, manipulated test results, forged documents, and engaged in all kinds of dishonesty. And as for their product aspartame, they knew about the negative consequences it could cause, but kept this information hidden from the public. The list of controversies goes on and on. This one is definitely not for the faint-hearted, because we're about to dig deep into the rest of the dirt on Monsanto. Get ready for a wild ride that will make you question everything you thought you knew about this notorious company. This company's obsession with patent protection has landed them in hot water more times than we can count. They're notorious for taking legal action against innocent farmers who have unknowingly used their proprietary seeds without permission. Talk about being heavy-handed. And let's not forget about Monsanto's love affair with genetically modified seeds. They've been pushing this agenda for years, but at what cost? Smaller-scale farmers are struggling to keep up with the company's stringent patent enforcement, leaving them vulnerable to legal battles they can't afford. And to make matters worse, Monsanto has been accused of trying to create a monopoly on seeds with their patent portfolio. It's a classic case of big business bullying the little guy. But that's not all. By aggressively enforcing their patents and suing farmers who use their seeds without permission, Monsanto is stifling competition and limiting the availability of non-genetically modified seed varieties. It's a shady move that's had a major impact on the agriculture industry. Of course, Monsanto defends its patent protection strategy, claiming it's necessary to recoup the costs of research and development. But is it really? Or are they just using this as an excuse to maintain their stranglehold on the seed market? The debate rages on, but what can't be debated is the company's blatant violation of human rights. Unsurprisingly, in a number of the nations in which it does business, Monsanto has been accused of engaging in practices that violate both labor laws and human rights. In India, for instance, the corporation has been called out for the way it treats small farmers. That's because these farmers have been coerced into purchasing pricey seeds and pesticides from Monsanto, which has resulted in many of them going bankrupt as a direct consequence. In the United States, the corporation is even being accused of putting its employees at risk by allowing them to come into contact with harmful chemicals, and of failing to provide proper protection for their health and safety, blatantly ignoring the harm that they are subjecting individuals to. The crimes piling up against Monsanto don't end here. Next up is their infamous GMO scandal, which will send chills down your spine. Now, you might think that Monsanto's lengthy rap sheet would eventually come to an end, but unfortunately, this company's roots are too deeply entrenched in the web of evil it has spun for itself. It's almost as if every time we turn around, a new scandal or controversy is emerging from this corporate behemoth. Take, for example, the way the company has downplayed the risks attached to the use and induction of genetically modified organisms. That's right, we're talking about a real-world company, not a fictitious sci-fi evil conglomerate. For those of you who are unaware of what GMOs are, here's a quick tidbit about them. GMOs are organisms whose DNA has been altered through genetic engineering, often with the goal of improving their performance or making them resistant to pests or herbicides. Everyone else, despite the fact that genetically modified organisms have been hailed as a potential solution to world hunger and a way to reduce the use of harmful chemicals in agriculture, has expressed grave concerns regarding the potential long-term effects of these genetically modified organisms on human health and the environment. Then again, Monsanto, being who it is by nature, is being accused of playing down the dangers associated with genetically modified organisms and of utilizing the immense financial and political power it possesses to sway public policy and public opinion. The emphasis that Monsanto places on maximizing profits, according to its detractors, has caused the business to put short-term advantages ahead of the long-term health and safety of consumers, as well as the environment. For example, one of the most high-profile cases involving Monsanto and genetically modified organisms was the controversy surrounding its Roundup Ready soybeans, which were genetically engineered to be resistant to the herbicide glyphosate. Monsanto even continued to advertise and sell its Roundup products, all the while downplaying the hazards that were involved with their use. And note that this was done despite the growing evidence that glyphosate was linked to cancer and other health concerns. Now, criticism has surely been leveled at Monsanto because of the aggressive methods it uses to secure patents on its GMO products. Then again, the business has been accused of building a de facto monopoly on the seed industry by initiating legal action against farmers who have mistakenly utilized its crop-righted seeds without permission, and then pursuing legal action against those farmers. So there's that. But there's also the irreversible environmental damage they've caused. We also have Monsanto taking the lead for ruining our environment out in the open, with zero accountability, or so it seems. In 2015, the International Organization for Research on Cancer categorized glyphosate as a likely human carcinogen, which sparked a firestorm of criticism as well as legal action against Monsanto. Even as more and more scientific data emerged linking the chemical to cancer and other major health disorders, critics assert that Monsanto downplayed the possible health dangers linked with glyphosate, even while the evidence was mounting. A slew of legal actions has since been taken up against Monsanto as a direct result of the debate around Roundup and glyphosate. And not too soon after, in 2018, a jury in the state of California awarded a groundskeeper a sum of money of $289 million in damages for his allegation that his exposure to Roundup was the cause of his terminal cancer. Meanwhile, in another case, a man who claimed that the chemical Roundup, which he had sprayed on his land for years, caused him to get cancer, was granted $80 million in damages. Even then, Monsanto has continued to defend the safety of its products, stating that they have been subjected to stringent testing and have received approval from regulatory organizations around the world. At this point, the very name Monsanto conjures images of evil and scandal. It's not hard to see why this multinational business has been at the center of numerous scandals and litigation, with zero sense of shame. Having said that, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the web of never-ending evil. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to stay up to date on all our latest investigations. And as always, stay curious and stay informed.